Hey everyone, this is a lecture on Turing, which was the second of last week's readings, and the subject is artificial intelligence, machine intelligence. Now, one thing to keep in mind when you're thinking about the Turing reading is that he wrote this in 1950, so computers were very new at the time, and we've seen a lot of astonishing developments in computers since 1950, but I think the basic ideas are still very interesting. So at the time, Turing wondered whether a machine might be made to think. And he thought that the whole vocabulary of thinking was kind of ambiguous. You know, who really knows what this thinking thing is anyway? We seem to do it ourselves all the time, but we can't really say what it is. So he introduces this idea of the imitation game. And the imitation game is supposed to be a device that helps us get a clearer picture of what it might be for a machine to think. So the imitation game, as most of you got on the discussion boards, is a game in which two players are sealed off from an interrogator. The interrogator communicates with the two of them by typewritten messages, and then the interrogator has to decide after some time who is who. And the point of the imitation game is that the machine is going to take place of one of the players, not of the interrogator. And then the interrogator, who is a human, has to figure out which of the two players is the machine and which of the two players is the human being. Now, Turing thought that if a machine could pass this test and it could fool a human into thinking that it was a human player and not a machine player, then that would be good enough to consider it a thinking machine. And you know, there would be nothing special left over. There would be no magical thinking stuff that has to happen. If a machine can carry on a conversation as good as a human can, then he thinks that's really all there is to intelligence. Now, one thing to point out about this is that if you go by the analogical argument that Russell gave, if you remember from the Russell reading from this week, Russell would seem to also say that we should infer that a machine has a mind because when we look at other people around us, all we see is certain behavior. Lots of it is speech behavior. And if a machine could do that as well as a human, and we infer that other humans have minds, then we ought to, by Russell's lights, also infer that a machine has a mind. There's more to say about this, but I think that will wait until the Searle part.